Okay, we're going to do a little section now called Breaking the Rules. What does that mean? Well, just what it says. What we've done in the DVD, I'm hoping that you've watched this section last, that's your general idea. In this section, we're going to talk about how to basically kind of undo everything that we've done, but as in most rule breaking, you have to learn the rules before that you can break them, basically. So everything we've done so far has been specific timing. We've talked about all the note placements and stuff, but a lot of times in blues, you'll hear things that are basically out of time. If you look at blues transcriptions in magazines or books, you'll see these 7/4 and all these weird and wonderful combinations of notes. And of course, they didn't know that when they played it, or wasn't conscious of where it was falling in terms of notes. But what they were conscious of was how much time they had between the lick that started and where the lick finished, and that's the important thing. So what you can do is you can just do like basically a splurge of notes. Okay, and then as long as you basically know in terms of how long a bar is or how long a beat is, and I'm not necessarily talking about in terms of counting it now, I'm talking about in terms of feeling it. If the music's going by and you can feel more or less how long a bar is, all of a sudden it becomes easier to play a splurge of notes. And I'll just give you an example if I'm not making any sense whatsoever. If you had something like that, I just played a hammer on and pull off from 5 to 8. Played 8 on the G, back to the 5 on the B, and then pulled off 8, 7, 5, right, to 5 on the G, and then I pulled off from 7 to 5 to E on the 7th fret low E string, and then hammered from 5 to 7. Now, it's not necessarily important about that lick, I'm just talking about that type of thing. You'll hear people like Gary Moore go. They'll just play these kind of, kind of crazy figures where they'll even start and get faster. These real kind of aggressive groups of notes. But the thing about these talented people is they know how long they've got to play these sections so they can fall out of it. One tip is to be able to play the lick and then hold on to the last part until you hear a familiar beat come round and then fall on that. For example, if you... and then use that holding note to do it. Okay, it's a very, very small section of the DVD, but I do want to explain that these things can be done. And you'll find as you work more on the making of the rules, the breaking of the rules will become easier. So what I'm going to do is just give you a couple of examples where I'm going to play very strict to the time, and then I'm going to kind of float over the time, like a lot of jazz players do, people like Wayne Shorter, sax player, they will kind of float over the time where they're very aware of where things are falling, and so they can kind of, they can kind of float over it. So let's do a demonstration and see if I can get the point across. Okay, so in that demonstration, hopefully you heard me breaking the rules a few times, basically just floating over the time, but I always, hopefully knew where to come back in again. And that's the thing, if you start meandering off to Mars and you don't really know how to get back onto the spaceship to get home, basically your head's gonna get really big, just like it does on those films, it's gonna blow up, and you don't want that, okay? It's very messy. So, what I think I'm trying to say is if you're gonna break the rules, if you're going outside, you need to know how to get back in. If you're going to break the rules, you need to know how to get back to being in time again. And these are things that you just need to experiment with. So just get a real good grip of the timing, and then, the breaking of the rules will become a lot easier.